This school prank lasted for 2 years. It all began at this high school when a single rubber duck appeared in the school's water fountain. And nobody thought much of it. It was just a random duck. Who cares? Until the next day, 2 ducks, then 4, then 10. By the end of that week, there was rubber ducks appearing in every sink, every toilet, and even in students' lockers. Teachers were losing their minds. The principal, she was done. She kept saying on the intercom, "Whoever's responsible for the ducks, speak up now, please." Silence. Nobody confessed. So they gave up. They figured it would eventually sizzle out. But here's the thing, it never stopped. For 2 years, rubber ducks would randomly appear in the craziest of places. Ceiling tiles, inside the vending machines, somehow. One duck even appeared in the vice principal's car. It became a legend till this senior year. It was graduation. The principal was giving her speech when suddenly a banner dropped down. What was on the banner? A single rubber duck. This kid walked to the front of the stage and said, "It was me. It was always me." This one kid had hundreds and hundreds of zip ties, and every day he would zip tie a bunch of people's stuff to different things, like backpacks to desks, lunch boxes to railings, belt loops to chairs, and people were getting so pissed. And they wanted revenge. So what this kid did was he sold them zip ties. Business was booming because he did this to a lot of people. They bought zip ties from him and got him back. And once they were all done getting revenge on him, they started doing it to other people. And then those people wanted revenge on them. So they bought zip ties from him. He made hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And he had a lot of returning customers. Nice. Okay, so this is crazy. It was pizza day at this one dude's high school. He took a bite of his pizza and it tasted nasty. Here's the pizza in question. But he noticed on the bottom of the slice of pizza there was this weird stuff on there. Now, it could have been just the flour or the powdery part of the crust, but he was still skeptical. So he brought this slice of pizza to his science teacher. And the science teacher tested it. And guess what? That stuff is mold. W teacher, L school. At this one middle school, there was this rule, and the rule was called the bubble. The rule was no students in the school were allowed to come within an arm's length of one another in the hallway, for any reason. And if kids broke that rule, they would get in trouble. Want to give your friend a high five? Detention. You want to lend your friend a pencil in between classes? Detention. Is your friend having a really bad day and you want to give them a quick hug in the hallway? Extra detention with a possibility of suspension. Give me a break. Now this is a school business. When this kid was in middle school, he had an idea. So his school banned energy drinks, but kids still wanted them really bad. So he decided to start his secret business. He would bring in cans of energy drinks hidden in his backpack, and he would sell them for $5 a piece. Now at first, it was just a few of his friends buying from him. But word got out, and suddenly everybody wanted to buy from him. Now, business was immediately booming. And because the school banned energy drinks, and he was the only one selling them, he raised his prices to $10 a can, and people still bought them. For months and months, he ran this operation, and he never got caught. He even had a system. He would take orders in the morning, and he would make secret drop-offs in between classes. But one day, a gym teacher saw him hand an energy drink to another student and take money from him. Instead of shutting this kid down and turning him in, all he said was, "Be careful." So he kept going. Then, one day, the principal got involved. A teacher saw a kid chugging an energy drink in the hallway, so the teacher inquired, and that kid snitched. The principal pulled this kid into the office, and just like that, the business was shut down. But in total, he made over $7,000. You gotta respect the hustle. So, at this one middle school, they had a rule that was no talking before class. The rule was, as soon as you stepped into the classroom, you had to be completely silent until the lesson started. No whispering, no greeting, nothing. Now, at first, this sounds kinda reasonable, right? Well, there was this one teacher that took this rule completely too far. In that class, one time, a kid sneezed and said, "Excuse me." He got a detention. Another kid dropped his pencil, his friend picked it up and said, "Here." That kid also got a detention. And one time, the teacher wasn't even in the room yet and a kid coughed too loud that she heard it in the hallway, boom, detention. And if the teacher walked in and somebody was actually having a full-blown conversation, they wouldn't just get in trouble, the entire class would. Like, I'm sorry, is this school or solitary confinement? That's messed up. the locker room snack dealer. In high school, this kid noticed something. After their gym class, everyone was starving. But the vending machines were always broken and the cafeteria was in the other end of the school. And that's when he saw his opportunity. He went to Costco and bought tons of bulk snacks. Chips, candy, granola bars, you name it. Then he started selling them straight out of his gym locker. The first day he began doing this, everyone was hyped. Oh my gosh, this kid's selling food for us. We're starving every day. This is perfect. After gym class every day, kids would be lining up at his locker to buy some of his snacks. It was a genius business, truly. He was making $50 a day just from selling these snacks. You know, things did get a little bit risky. One day, a teacher walked into the locker room and saw what was going on, and he said, "Hey, you better not be doing what I think you're doing." Kid was scared. He was like, But the teacher was like, "Just kidding." Handed the kid a $5 bill and bought snacks himself. What a legend. That kid ran his snack business all year, and he made over $1,500. You gotta respect the hustle. When this kid was in middle school, he bought a shoe customization kit, and he was skilled enough to design stuff like this on people's shoes. Well, he decided to start a business. He charged kids $10 for him to customize their shoes. But more and more people started getting interested in this, and business started booming. So he raised his price to $50 per customization. Things were going great. He was running this business for 3 months, until one day the vice principal walked in on him in the bathroom designing some shoes. The vice principal saw him and told him that he had to ask the principal if he could continue. Well, the principal said, "Yeah, for sure, keep going." And he did. He continued this business for 7 months. But then one day, a school board official was visiting the school, and the school board official caught him in the bathroom as well. He was then shut down completely. In total, he made about $11,000. That's insane. Well, we all knew this would happen. This is Barry, and when his family hadn't heard from Barry in a few weeks, they called the police to do a welfare check on him. And what they found was absolutely brutal. When they got to Barry's house, the door was unlocked, so they went in. They found Barry lying in his bed in a pool of blood with a stab wound to his stomach. They noticed a blood trail, so they followed the blood trail to the kitchen. And on the counter were 2 frozen burger patties with a piece of paper stuck in the middle. Next to the patties was a knife with blood on it. Well, turns out a few months prior to this, Barry had suffered a stroke, which caused him to have limited mobility. So on the day of his passing, Barry must have been trying to separate these burger patties, as we all have at one moment. Banging them on the counter, trying to get that knife in there, trying to separate those patties, but he must have slipped, and that knife must have went right into his stomach. He accidentally stabbed himself. Freaked out, he pulled the knife out, put it on the counter, went to his room where his phone was, sat on his bed, and tried to phone the police. He didn't make it. Rest in peace, Barry. When this guy was a kid, he went to a private school, and that school had a bunch of strict, stupid rules. No phones were allowed at all, you had to wear a uniform every day, and if you were ever caught with coffee or energy drinks, you would be sent to the principal's office, and your parents would have to come pick you up. There was a locker right next to his that nobody used. He bought 5 cases of Monster and Red Bull energy drinks, and he would store them in that extra locker. He would sell those energy drinks to students for $3 a pop. And business was absolutely booming. Just 3 weeks after he started this business and $400 in profit later, he was caught, and he was suspended for 2 days. He laid low for a few months, but after a while, the need for money in business started coming back, so he started it back up again. But this time, he was very careful. In total, he made $1,300. He bought himself a motorcycle. Hey, nice haircut, Kyle. Did the lawnmower break halfway through? Oh, hey, Chad. Well, at least my hairline isn't running away faster than your dad did. Oh, you think you're funny? Funnier than the fact that your new stepdaddy's the mailman. Oh, that's it. You want to fight? Yeah, maybe I do. Oh, yeah? Well, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to slap you so hard that they're going to feel it on the Richter scale. What? Sir? We have a problem. What kind of problem, Johnson? There's just been a massive seismic event. No earthquakes, no explosions, but the sensors just spiked off the charts. Where'd it come from? A middle school cafeteria. Dear God. Here's a crazy McDonald's story. So the person that shared this said that she used to work at McDonald's. Well, this lady pulls through and orders a large high C. The girl working the drive-thru said that when they pulled up to pay and get their drink, she heard a lot of people in the car giggling, but she didn't really think too much of it. So she takes her money. All right, that's $2.50. Thank you. And here's your drink. Then, not even 2 seconds later, as she was turning around, she heard the lady in the car scream, "Fire in the hole!" The woman in the car then threw the large drink directly at the drive-thru worker. But somehow the worker was quick, and she managed to ninja chop that cup directly back into that person's car. Oh! It's all over me! The customer who threw the cup then got very mad and demanded that she speak to a manager. I want to speak to a manager right now. This is unacceptable. The drive-thru worker then tells her manager what happened. They banned her from that McDonald's for the rest of her life. Dumb reasons people got in trouble at school. It was grade school and it was the end of the day. This kid got on his bus, but the bus driver had to wait a few minutes to leave because there were still some students making their way to the bus. So the bus driver suggested they sing a song. All right, students, we're going to be heading out here soon, but while we wait, let's do a little sing-along, okay? Let's sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That's when this one kid said this. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star sucks. What did you say to me? Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star sucks? That's it. The driver then went back to where this kid was sitting and dragged him off the bus and pulled him by the arm to the principal's office. Come on, come on. What the heck? Yeah, Miss Henley, this kid threatened me. You should give him a detention. Make him stay. I did not. Sit down. I'm calling your parents. His parents were then called and they were forced to pick him up. They raised this issue to the school superintendent. He then checked the footage of the bus, and they obviously saw that this kid didn't do anything that bad. In fact, the bus driver shouldn't have grabbed him like that. He was fired. One day, this class had a brand new substitute teacher. Nobody had ever seen him before. He just walked in, slammed his briefcase down, and said, "I don't care what you do, just try to be quiet, okay?" Bad move on his part, because the second he said that, all hell broke loose. Two kids started playing Uno across their desks while one filmed the thing like it was a documentary. Some kid in the back just stood up and left. He didn't even try to sneak out, he just walked out the door. And the sub did nothing. At some point, this kid named Marcus stood up and started teaching the class. "So I'm gonna teach you guys how to care for an axolotl." And the sub just nodded like he was fine with it. That's when a couple students who were sitting near the front row grabbed the substitute's briefcase and opened it. Inside was nothing. No papers, no lesson plans, no pens, nothing. That's when the sub looked at the class, nodded, and said, "All right, see ya." And then he left. Everyone was like, what the heck just happened? No one knew who he was, where he came from, or why he was there in the first place. But I bet you that day in class was the funnest ever. When this kid was in 6th grade, he asked his teachers if he could get paid to clean up gum from under desks and chairs. They said sure. So he was getting paid $5 every time he cleaned up gum. Well, the principal found out about this and asked him if he could clean up the gum from under the tables in the lunchroom. He said sure. It was a nice little side hustle, but then he had a brilliant idea. He was gonna start selling gum. So he started buying these packs. This one's only $5 from Target. It's 8 packs with 15 pieces of gum in each pack. That's 120 pieces of gum, and he sold each piece of gum for 50 cents. He was making $60 after selling one whole thing of gum. But here's the kicker. Every time he sold somebody a piece of gum, he asked them when they were done with the gum if they could put it underneath desks or the lunchroom tables. So he would have to clean up the gum more often and make even more money. This dude's funny as heck. This dude's in middle school, and apparently one of his teachers has this rule. No slang words allowed in class. If you used words like cool or dude, she would immediately correct you. One day, the teacher was explaining a lesson, and a kid in the back muttered, "Yo, that's low-key interesting." The teacher froze. She whipped around, pointed at him, and said,
"Hey, we do not use slang in this classroom. You meant to say it's rather interesting, right?"
The whole class went silent, but that kid wasn't gonna let it slide. The next day he came in with a plan. He printed off a whole bunch of Shakespeare insults, words, and phrases. Stuff like, "Thou art a saucy knave," and "Fie upon thee, scoundrel." Then, anytime the teacher asked a question, he would only respond using old-fashioned English.
So what's the theme of this story, class?
"Verily, good madam, it doth speak of betrayal most foul."
What are you doing? Just speak normally.
And that's when he hit her with the, "But thou hast forbidden me from using common tongue." The class lost it. Oh, he got you, miss. And after that day, the no slang rule mysteriously disappeared. I wonder why. This is awesome. This person said that when he was in high school, he was applying to colleges, and there was one college that he really wanted to go to. So he was at his counselor's office, and they were talking about this. "Yeah, so I really want to go to that school, Steven, and I think I can do it." Steven, you're not getting into the school, man. Steven was pissed. He went to the principal's office and told the principal the situation. Yeah, so Mr. Johnson just completely, disregarded me and shut me down, said that there's no way I'm getting into that school. Well, Steven, he has a point. I mean, look at the school and look at you. Apply to a state school, come, just go. This made Steven even more mad. So what did he do? He went home. He sat down at his computer and he began writing his college essay. He went to town. He was writing. He was thinking. His brainstorming. Thoughts were just spurting out of everywhere. He was done. He sent it off to that school that he really wanted to go to, and he waited. Well, time passed, and suddenly there was a big packet in his mailbox. He goes inside and he opens it. Accepted. I got in. I got in. He got into the school. Oh my God, he was so freaking excited. Well, turns out this school was way too much money and he could not afford it, so he ended up not going to school, but he made copies of the acceptance letter and he taped it to the door of his counselor and the principal. One for you. One for you. When this kid was 10 years old, he was at the grocery store with his mom. He was messing around in the candy aisle when he decided to steal some gum. He thought to himself, I'm a criminal mastermind. When him and his mom got to the checkout, his mom paid for everything except the pack of gum in her son's pocket. As soon as they walked outside, he pulled out the gum and started chewing it. His mom turned around. Where did you get that? Well, instead of admitting he stole it, he panicked and he said, that man gave it to me and he told me to get in his car. That man? Mm-hmm. The man was standing by the front of the store. The mom turned around and stormed to the store's entrance. She saw one of the store's employees. Excuse me, this man right here gave my son candy and told him to get in his car. What? Him? Wait, what? Wait, no, I didn't. We need to call security now. You stay there. What? I didn't do anything. Within minutes, store employees were calling the police. This man was in hot water, but he didn't do anything wrong. The kid just stood there watching, chewing his gum.
Hands behind your back. I said hands behind your back.
I'm addicted to making money at school, and one morning, I had an idea. On my bike ride to school, I stopped into the local Target, and I bought a bunch of packs of socks. Then at school that day, I waited until it was gym class. I didn't go to class. Instead, when gym class was over, I waited outside the doors of the locker room as the students came in to change into their normal clothes. Well, I cracked open the door a little bit and I peeked. Once all of their shoes were off and they were only in their socks, I poured a bucket of water on the floor, getting everybody's socks soaking wet. I got my brand new packet of socks, then I went in. What's wrong, guys? I don't know, man. A bunch of water came in here. All of our socks are soaking wet. This sucks. Oh, man, that's really unfortunate. I don't even know what I'm going to do now. This is going to suck for the rest of the day. I actually have brand new socks right here in this duffel bag. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I'll take some socks. Yeah, me too. And want some socks, too. Oh, not so fast, men. It's $2 per sock. $2 for a pair of socks? Oh, no. I think you heard me wrong. $2 per sock. $4 per pair. Yeah, no, I'm not paying that. Enjoy the rest of the day with your squishy sock feet. Wait. Here's 4. That's what I thought. Today's gonna be a good day. This kid ran a school candy empire. When this dude was in middle school, he realized something. The school cafeteria charged way too much money for snacks. So he decided to start his own business. He went to the dollar store, bought a huge bag of candy for cheap, and started selling them at school. And let me tell you, this is a great idea. I did this when I was in school. At first, he sold candy bars for $1 each. Making small profits here and there. But the more kids that started buying from him and the more product he was buying himself, he raised his prices. $3 for Snickers, $5 for a bag of Sour Patch Kids. People were paying and business was booming. He ran this candy empire for a while. He even had employees that would sell the product in different hallways at the school. But one day, the lunch lady saw him selling these snacks during lunch, and she got mad. I wonder if it's because kids weren't buying their snacks anymore, they were buying this dude's candy. So she turned him into the principal, and everything was shut down. In total, this kid made about $2,000. The school printer hustle. One of my subscribers sent in this story about a business he ran in school. So when this kid was in 9th grade, his school charged 10 cents per page to print anything from the library computers. Now the library had some of the only printers in the entire school. and nobody carried cash or change on them, so this was a real pain in their ass. And the school system would not take digital payments, so kids were constantly begging teachers to print stuff for them, which the teachers thought was annoying. Well, one day this kid noticed a printer sitting in the corner of one of the unused computer labs, unplugged. It was just sitting there collecting dust. So at the end of the day, he went to that computer lab, grabbed the printer, and tried to get out of the school as fast as he possibly could. He made it. He went home and he had the printer with him. He spent $20 on ink for that specific printer. He then got a big duffel bag and set the printer up in his duffel bag. The next day, he started offering his own printing service. But unlike the school, this kid was gonna take digital payments. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, you name it. He even took lunch trades. He printed it all. Homework, essays, last-minute assignments, nothing was off limits. At first, he just charged 5 cents per page to print. He wanted to undercut the school to get the business, but once word started to spread, it didn't matter. People were willing to pay up to 50 cents per page, just because it was convenient. Some teachers who didn't have printers in their classroom and hated using the library printers started paying him as well to print out worksheets for their class. And bingo! By the end of the semester, he had so much business that he had to bring a second backpack to carry all the printer paper in. This wasn't just a side hustle. This was a full-blown underground print shop. Genius. This kid's a legend. So at this one high school, there was one kid that somehow managed to bring a whole rotisserie chicken to lunch every single day. Now, I'm not talking about some lunchbox-sized meal, oh no. I'm talking about a full-sized grocery store rotisserie chicken. And he wouldn't sit down and eat it with a fork and a knife. He would eat it like an absolute caveman. He would crack his knuckles and just start going to town, tearing that chicken apart with his bare hands. You know, at first people ignored it because they thought maybe this was just a one-time thing, but then he kept doing it every single day. Well, I guess this was an issue for some people because then the school took notice and teachers tried to stop him, but technically he wasn't breaking any rules. There wasn't a no eating a whole chicken at lunch rule in the handbook because, like, you know, it got to a point where the principal literally begged this kid to stop doing it because it was making everybody uncomfortable. The kid just looked at him in the eye, took a bite of his chicken and said, "What are you gonna do? Suspend me for eating lunch?" And honestly, respect. This hungry college student accidentally built a $200 million empire. So this guy, Seth Berkowitz, was in college back in 2003, and one night he was craving cookies. Nice, warm cookies. But there was a problem. He didn't have a car, and nobody delivered cookies that late. So he took matters into his own hands. He baked a batch himself. He tried it, and they were pretty dang good. And he figured other students probably craved the same thing late at night. So he started selling them. At first, it was a simple side hustle. He would take orders, bake these cookies in his tiny dorm kitchen, and deliver them himself around campus until 2 a.m. Baby, word spread pretty fast. By 2004, he had so many orders that he had to rent out a real kitchen, hire some help, and turn this into a full-on business. And let me tell you, business was absolutely booming. And what started as a small campus gig turned into something he could have never imagined. By 2018, his company, Insomnia Cookies, had over 260 locations across the United States, Canada, and the UK. That same year, Krispy Kreme bought a majority stake in that company for around $140 million. And today, Insomnia Cookies is worth over $200 million. And this started all because this dude wanted a snack back in 2003. That's absolutely insane. This teacher is the absolute worst. At this one middle school, in math class one year, there was this very awful teacher. She would scream at her students, refuse to answer any questions, and she would act very aggressive at very small things, kind of like she had anger issues. Well, one day in this math class, they were going over the answers to a math packet, and one girl in this class, let's call her Tina, flipped to the next page a little too early. Well, somehow, from all the way across the room, the teacher noticed this, and she stormed over. "Are you in a rush, Tina? Because if so, you can take your stuff and you can leave." She smacked her hand on Tina's desk, and Tina was horrified. She started packing her stuff, getting ready to leave. Well, apparently, Tina wasn't fast enough because the teacher grabbed her by the arm, shoved her out of the classroom into the hallway, and slammed the door. "And stay out there!" After class, her friends found Tina crying in the hallway. And so, when they got to the next class, which was PE, they told one of the coaches, and the coach did not like to hear this. You said, "What happened?" "Well, you guys just hang out here, okay? I'll be back." After PE, everybody that was in that math class was brought into the dean's office, and one by one they were questioned. And just before Thanksgiving break, that horrible, awful teacher was fired. That's karma for you. Hey Kyle. What, Chad? Nice mustard on your shirt, you frickin' slob. Whatever, man. At least I didn't fail English 3 times. Good story, man. But in what chapter do you shut up? That was good, right? What was that, man? I could eat a can of alphabet soup and poop out a better comeback than that. In fact, stay there. I'll be right back. Perfect. Hey Chad, what? Look. How did he do that? How did he do that? This kid started a business at school and he made absolute bank. So this kid loved spicy food. So one day he brought a bunch of spices from home, and during lunch he started putting these spices into bags of chips, just testing out different flavors. He tried it. It was good. He let his friends try it. They loved it. So the next day, a bunch of people were asking him if they could make them their own bag of these seasoned chips. So he began bringing extra chips and extra seasoning to school and selling these seasoned chip bags for $2 a piece. But baby business was booming. Demand exploded. Within a month, kids were paying $5 a bag, and he had a full operation. He would mix the spices at home, season the chips and pack them in Ziploc bags, and he would be selling them before school even started every day. And every day, he sold out. People couldn't get enough of these awesome chips. But one day, a teacher caught a group of students standing in the hallway, secretly passing around these spicy chips like it was contraband. So she shut it down, reported this to the principal, and someone gave him this kid's name. So this dude was called to the principal's office. But here's where it gets awesome. The principal thought this idea was absolutely genius. Instead of stopping him, he told the kid to turn it into a real business. The last I heard about this story was that the kid was trying to get an Instagram page started and a website. He was going to begin selling these chips outside of just school. And I hope the best for him, because man, you gotta respect the hustle. 3 businesses kids ran in their school. 1, at this person's middle school, there was a kid that sold Dum Dum lollipops. Well, this kid would just carry them around in a shopping bag at school and sell them for $0.25 each. He kept that business going for a pretty long time and he made like $200. Not bad for a kid. Number 2, this high school made homemade cookies. She would bring them to school and charge people $1 a cookie. Yes, business was booming. People loved these cookies. Apparently, she was a pretty good baker, but the school didn't like this, so they said that she could not sell cookies to people anymore. But these cookies were so dang good that they found a loophole. Students would give her money for no reason, and then she, the next day, would give them cookies for no reason. Feel me? And she kept that business going throughout her entire high school career. And lastly, at this one elementary school, there was a kid that wanted to make a couple extra dollars for ice cream. So one morning, she went into her grandma's bedroom and stole a bunch of her grandma's jewelry. She took that jewelry to school, and during recess that day on the playground, she would sell her grandma's jewelry. Now obviously these kids didn't have a lot of money. So for example, she sold her grandma's engagement ring for 50 cents. Eventually, these teachers saw what was going on and put a stop to this immediately. They tried to get back all of this grandma's jewelry. Obviously the grandma wasn't too happy, but that kid had quite the entrepreneurial spirit. Gotta respect the hustle. This kid is a kingpin. When this dude was in 8th grade, his school had a huge problem. Apparently the school's lockers sucked and they kept getting jammed, which caused a lot of students to be late for class all the time because they couldn't get their lockers open. Well, this kid had a brilliant idea. He saw this as an opportunity. He realized that these lockers weren't that hard to unjam. People were just kind of stupid, he said. So he went to the janitor. Hey, so about the jammed locker situation, I know how to open them. It's not that hard. I can help students unjam their lockers in between classes. The janitor said, that sounds good, man. I'll pay you $1 for every locker you unjam. He was gonna pay him $1 for every locker this kid helped fix. Now, at first, it was just a very small hustle. He was making a few bucks a day. But then he had another brilliant idea. Instead of waiting for lockers to jam, he started jamming the lockers himself. And he would do anything. He would stick an eraser inside the lock or try to jam something in between the locker frame. You know, something that was just enough to make them seem broken, but it was easy for him to fix. Well, he went crazy on this one day. And by lunchtime, tons of students were panicking because none of their lockers were open. They were all jammed. And guess who they went to for help? This kid. Since he already gained a reputation as the locker guy, he was the guy to go to. Teachers were even recommending him to students. So not only was he getting paid by the janitor for every locker that he fixed, some kids were so desperate to get their books or their lunches that they started paying him extra to get a priority fix. He was making double, if not more. And let me tell you, business was booming. This kid wasn't just solving a problem, he was also creating the problem. And that's absolutely genius. You gotta respect the hustle. This kid roasted his teacher. So this one kid's school, there was this teacher who always tried to be the cool teacher, but ended up embarrassing himself a lot. You know, he would crack jokes, roast students, act like he was one of the kids. Most times, students just ignored it. But then one day, this happened. Okay, class, we're gonna start the review for the test on Friday, but I'll be sure to explain it slowly so Liam can understand it. What? Oh, come on, man, you gotta fight back. Hit me with something, show me your personality. Maybe then you'll pass the test. Liam just sighs, leans back in his chair and says, all right, Mr. Thomas, you asked for it. Why don't you finally admit that this is not the life you wanted? Maybe that's why your wife left you, your kids hate you, and you're stuck here trying to impress a bunch of 14-year-olds you mayonnaise-loving Get it together. This kid's mom is sus. The person that shared this story said that his friend's mom wouldn't let them watch SpongeBob. Hey, we should watch some SpongeBob. No. My mom will get so mad. Dude, she's in the other room. Like, it's just SpongeBob. She's not gonna get that mad. They're watching SpongeBob. No. Patrick is such an idiot. What are you doing? Oh my god, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're just watching SpongeBob. It's not a big deal. SpongeBob is not allowed in our house, Kyle. Go home now. But now. Okay. And you get upstairs right now. Bring your Bible and the rosary. I'll meet you there in 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Dear God. Why was she so against SpongeBob, you ask? It's because she thought the holes on SpongeBob's body would induce evil, sinful, and dirty thoughts. This is a true story. This is the third assembly I've had to call for this. I am done. So, let's back up. What was that assembly for? Well, the person that shared this story said that all throughout middle school, all 3 years, there was a kid that would tuck unwrapped Hostess zingers inside of every single toilet paper dispenser in the school, every single day. So every day, whoever was lucky enough to be the first person to use that toilet paper would have an unwrapped Hostess zinger fall into their hands. What the heck? Now, like I said, this was a mystery for 3 years, which now brings us to the assembly. I want to know right now, please, give yourself up. And finally, the kid did. He figured it was time to put this all to rest. It's been me the whole time. This guy was angry for years. We're gonna call him Patrick. Well, 29 years ago, when Patrick was in 3rd grade, he was sitting at a lunch table with some other kids. In the middle of lunch, Patrick pulls out a small bag of carrots. That's when another kid, let's call him Jimmy, looks at him and says, "Look everyone, Patrick's a carrot boy." And for some reason, that incident really stuck with him. Nobody ever brought it up again. All throughout high school and into adulthood, he built up this anger, this raging anger. And whenever he ate carrots, the memory would pop up. Carrot boy! Well, a year or two ago, as a full-grown adult, there's an impromptu high school reunion. He decided to go. He gets there, he has a few drinks, he eats some food, but that's when he notices Jimmy. That old anger welled up. That's when he saw a plate of carrots sitting out. He grabs the plate of carrots, he ran over to Jimmy, and... I guess I'm still carrot boy, huh? I'm still carrot boy? Bro, you good? What are you talking about? Carrot boy, remember? You called me carrot boy and you were all laughing at me in 3rd grade? Guess I'm still carrot boy. I'm sorry? I mean, I don't know what to say. They had all forgotten about it. 7 of his old classmates unfriended him on Facebook. And Jimmy blocked him on everything. This kid exposed his own teacher, but then it backfired. Let's call this kid Jake. And recently, Jake had been noticing something strange. The star quarterback, let's call him Ryan, never studied, never did his homework, but he managed to get perfect scores on every test. Well, one day, Jake was staying after class a little bit to ask the teacher a question when he noticed something. The teacher hands Ryan a piece of paper and says, "Memorize these." That's when Jake realizes the teacher is giving him the answers to the test. Well, he thought. No wonder he keeps getting perfect scores. The teacher is helping him cheat. The teacher's helping him remain on the football team. Instead of snitching, Jake gets smart. He starts watching Ryan, catches him in the library, memorizing stuff from the exact paper the teacher gave him. Jake slowly walks behind Ryan and secretly takes a picture of the paper. Then on test day, he takes a picture of his test. The answer sheet that Ryan was memorizing matches exactly to the test they received. He got it. Proof. The teacher and Ryan were caught. Well, instead of turning this into the principal or whatever, he showed the teacher. He blackmailed her. Hey, yeah, see this? Look familiar? And see this? That's our test from today. The exact same. I know what you're doing. Oh my god. Well, no. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start giving me the answers to every test. Or I'm taking these pictures and I'm telling the school board and you're fired. Okay. That's blackmail, baby. Now Jake starts getting perfect scores on every single test. But this all came crumbling down. Apparently, another student in the class had stayed behind and heard Jake tell the teacher this. That student went to the principal. What happened? Well, the teacher was fired, Ryan was benched and never played football again, and Jake, he got suspended.
আমি চাইনি তোমার মন খারাপ হোক।
এইটা এখন আমাকে বিশ্বাস করতে হবে। তোমার ভাইয়ের যে একটা বন্ধু আছে না অয়ন ভাই, উনি অনেক চালাক আছে, অনেক স্মার্ট। এই আপু শুনো, তুমি রাগ করলা?
তুমি যদি একটু পড়ো।
আপনাকে ঈদের শুভেচ্ছা।
ধন্যবাদ।
তোপো দাঁড়া।
মেয়েটা দেখছিস?
কোন মেয়েটা?
তোদের বাসা দোতলায় আসছে।
মা, মোম দিয়ে যাও না। আরে আসতেছি রে বাবা। আপনার গান শুনে ছাদে আসলাম। আপনি গিটার বাজান বল।
কি দিল এটা? 100 টাকা? আমি তো চাইছিলাম।
তোর মন খারাপ এটা তুই কি আসার আগে জানতি না আসার পর জানছস?
সাদা ওড়না, কপালে ছোট্ট একটা টিপ, রোদের আলো।
এদিকে আয়, তুই আয়। আরে
আজ বেলাতে তোমার সুরে সুরে।
এই বিকালে মাঠে আসবি তো? ফয়সাল আসছিল, ঈদের পরে কক্সবাজার যাওয়ার প্ল্যান করতেছে।
আসমানের চাঁদ লয়া এরকম বাসর ঘরে আহে তখন রাজা বাচ্চা গুলা হান
তুমি এই পোশাক কখনই চেঞ্জ করে আইবা, নালে কইলাম আমি তোমার আমার লগে থাকতে দিব না। আইসা আলগা খানদানি রেওয়াজ দেখে।
তোমার কত বড় সাহস, তুমি আমার মাথায় বাড়ি দিবা? এই আমি কি করছি? বাজান কি এইটা কাম করছে নি? আপনার মতো হীরার টুকরা একটা পোলারে লাথি দিয়ে বাইর করে দিছে।
দিমু একটা ঠুয়া, আমি পারুম না। এই বেটা, এই আমগো খানদানে পূর্বপুরুষেরা
তো কি টিপে কল্লা
লাগলে হেরাও টিপা দিমু। তুমি বরং আমার হাতটা ব্যথা করতেছে, হাতটা টিপা দাও।
আরে এখানে হান্দাবার লাগছস কে? একটু ওদিকে নে না। তোমার বিছানা আমি ভিজায়া দিছি গা।
এটা তুমি কি করছো?
কি করছি? ঘুমাইবা না?
তোমার পূর্বপুরুষের মাথায় কি সমস্যা ছিল আব্বা?
আবার নাটকের পর কয় কি শুনছো? ওই বেটা
আব্বা জান, আপনার পোলারে এখন জিগান তো রুটি গরম না ঠান্ডা?
বাপরে বাপ, শুনছনি একেবারে ডর দেয় তো বলে কুচি কুচি করে কাটতো হয়েছে। আপনার ডর আপনার পকেটে থুয়া দেন।
খানদানটা আমার কত উচ্চা দেখতে হইব না?
দেখতেছি তো উঁচা ভি আর লম্বা ভি।
এর লাগা চুপ আছিলাম, কিন্তু অহনা চুপ থাকান যাইব না।
কিরে সাজান,
আমরা মানি না, আমগো খানদানে আমরা এক গ্লাস পানি পর্যন্ত ডাইলা না খাই।
আমাগো খানদানে আছে।
এই ভাবি একটা ফালতু খানদান থেকে আইছে, এই সব খানদানের আমি ধারদারি না।
চলো না আমরা বাড়িতে ফিরে যাই।
তুমি কি পাগল হয়ে গেছো নি? এটাই আমার বাড়ি এখনতে।
চৌধুরী সাহেবের সাথে আমি কি কথা কইছি? তুমি কোনো কথাই কই নাই কে? সাজান তোমারে কইলো এত
দিচ্ছেন, হ্যাঁ দিচ্ছেন না? এলা বাইরন, আমার বাড়িতে বাইরন।
একবারে হাসা করছেন আব্বাজান। আপনার পোলার এই বাড়ি কোনো রকম ওই বিতলামি করলে আমি ধরা ঘাড়াই, কিন্তু ভাবলাম আপনাকে একমাত্র পোলা ঘাড়াইলে আবার দিলে চোট পাই।
দিতাছো তুমি?
শোনো, তোমাগো খানদানে যেমন কিছু নিয়ম আছে, আমাগো খানদানেও আছে।
এইসব ফাত্রা নিয়ম কেউ যেন জানবার না পারে, মনে থাকবো তো? তোর যে নতুন ভাবি
হয়ে যাইব।
যা মন চায় তাই করো, এই ফোন আমি দিব না। কার লগে কথা কইতাছো? হ্যাঁ,
আমার ফোন দাও।
আরে বাপরে বাপ, কইতেছো কি তুমি? আমার খানদানি পোশাক আমি খুলে ফেলামু, তুমি কি আমার অর্ডার করতেছো?
শিউলিমালা যা কয় তাই অর্ডার।
এসে আমি দেইকা লমু কিন্তু কয়ে দিলাম।
আম্মা
ওই কি ভাবতেছো? ভাবাভাবি বাদ দাও কইলাম। অহনি পোশাক চেঞ্জ করে আসো, নাহলে তোমার সারা রাত গা চুলকাইবে। আমি শাহজাহানের আব্বা আম্মার দিলে চোট পচাইছি, এর প্রতিশোধ নিতে গিয়ে শাহজাহান তোমাকে মধ্যে।
বইয়ের হাতে মার খাওয়া চলে, তাই কিছু কই নাই কা।
আমাগো খানদানে জামাই মারনের নিয়ম নাই কা।
তুই আমার এখান থেকে যাবি না মানে কি? অক্ষণ তুই বাইরবি।
আব্বা